Hi, welcome to Bad Music Taste and Other Ways to Ruin Your Life. My name is Dominic.
And my name is Sam. Dominic is our record this week.
This week's record is For the Whole World to See by Death. This was released in 2009, but anyways, check it out. Today we're talking to John Brannon from Negative Approach, Laughing Hyenas, and Static. How's it going, John?
I'm good, man. You left out a couple bands, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, just there's a lot more there.
Okay.
But you guys just got done with a quick little like East Coast run with the Circle Jerks. Ready to go on tour in like 2 weeks again. So how are you guys getting ready for that?
No, it's for the next year. I just checked with my work. I was like, oh yeah, you guys going back out on tour? And they're like, oh, is it 2 weeks? And then I just realized it's 2 months. I'm like, well, I'll see you in 2 months, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first like East Coast run was like 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
That was a little run.
Yeah.
But it's like, I got to pull it together, man. Because my girlfriend was like, you better look at your tour schedule. Because I told my work, I could work next week. But it's like, no, we got to start, we got to head out to California. That's we're driving. We always drive and bring all our own equipment, all that stuff. So, we start on San Diego on the 18th, and then we're kind of like in California and out there for a while, man. So, yeah.
And there's like, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a handful of shows with like the Bouncing Souls, like 7 Seconds.
Bouncing Souls, I think they're only on that. That's kind of like towards the end of the run, and that's a Hollywood Palladium. That's the only show I know they're on there. But yeah, it's like the next section that we're gonna do is with the Adolescents. We're totally excited about that with those guys. And then it kind of switches up. After that, we start out with the 7 Seconds and all that.
Nice.
So it just. I really needed to look at that tour schedule because it was like I didn't realize how many shows we're doing. It just seems like the Circle Jerks had plans for us. So it's kind of never ending.
Yeah, I was recently checking that the other day, and yeah, it's like 2 or 3 months just straight. Yeah.
There's segments. Yeah. And then we have a big run, and then it starts up again. It kind of goes to June. So,
So in the documentary on you called Detroit Punks, the interviews were done around 10 years apart. But why was this?
I had no idea. That was a whole weird thing. It was like, I have questions, the way I'm about that documentary. It was like, God, what's his name? Oh my God. I wish Dave was here right now. But, Mark Norton from, it was Cream Magazine. They kind of started out doing this documentary, and I don't think that got finished. Then it was like, then I think he looked at the footage that I did early on. And he's like, oh, there's a story here. And I think they resumed the documentary, which is weird because it's like, there's like that beginning part where I'm like, oh yeah. I'm talking about something. And then, then we're going to resume this documentary 10 years later, and then they kind of, put something together. That documentary really had nothing to do about music. I think they just kind of wanted, they kept asking me like, what was the worst moment of your life? I go, are we going to talk about music? So, I mean, it is what it is. And, I gave them a bunch of clips, for the music parts. And that might be kind of cool, but their whole angle on that documentary was like, what was the worst thing that ever happened to you? And I'm kind of like, and then, they would show up, they would fly in and, they'd interview me in the restaurant. I'm like, this doesn't need to be in the documentary. It was all like a surprise. And
Yeah, at first,
it's questionable.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
watching it, and at first I thought the angle was like this was your opinion in 2003, and this is how it changed like 10 years later. But then it was just like,
it started out that I think it was supposed to be some kind of documentary.
yeah,
Where, the beginning. And then they followed me around with a camera, and they bought all my drinks back, then it got kind of sloppy and kind of questionable. And then they stopped doing the documentary. The guy's like, well, I'm done with you, man. I don't even want it. He was a weirdo, man. He was a weirdo. Then he had like some girl kind of take over. And then I was like, is this like a music documentary, or like what is your angle on it? Then I gave him a bunch of clips, like music clips, and the whole thing is they never asked me about music. So it was like, I mean, it is what it is.
yeah,
And
like
it's kind
they,
of up there.
yeah, they
but,
leave in the part where like you puke on Drew Barrymore, but then like music was like left out.
That's like, that's been documented. I guess it was, that did happen, but we'll leave that. That's just, I don't want that to go down in history as, my greatest moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's an Instagram page out now called I Gotta Write, which shows the message's negative approach used to write in the 7 inches. So why'd you guys like start writing these messages in there?
Well, I gotta say, it was like back in the day when we did the 45s, and that goes back to Minor Threat and everybody. When we got them from the the printers, it was just like a flat thing, and we had to glue them. We had to cut them and like glue them together. This is old school, man. This is old school. We get that, we just get a flat from the printer, and we had a. Do you know about a glue stick? It's called glue stick. I mean, this is like ancient, arts and craft thing. We actually had to fold them together, do this, and it was a glue stick on the sides. We had to put them together. So we had all these flats, and we got them all, and we're like, oh. So we'd have friends come over to the house and be like, write a message in there, write a drawing, do everything. Some of them are questionable, and they do have that website, and it's kind of coming up. Like, I did a lot of those. You can tell what my handwriting is, or Larissa would draw a drawing, and it's just kind of funny. There's a whole website about that, but we did the first and second pressing. We kind of wrote all these little messages in it, and it's just kind of funny, the kids that are sending in the what they got, and and a lot of the the colored ones, the color, the Linda Blair face. Larissa just had these watercolor magic markers. Everybody's like, oh, I've got this extremely rare pressing. It's like, no, we just had a magic marker. We make the face orange, or make the lips red. We only do that, a handful of those, but it's kind of amazing that the people that still have those things, and it's coming up, and
were the messages
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Were the messages
I'm just saying all the crazy messages that.
Yeah, were they written in every single like record?
I gotta say, the first pressing, we probably did that. And it's just so funny how it's like a website, I gotta write Instagram, check it out. It's really funny. Yeah. We didn't think about it back then. It was just something, just something to do. This was like 1982 It was like I said, it was like flat sleeves. Like people would come over to me in Larissa's apartment and be like, draw a picture, say something.
So you mentioned that you're a pretty big Alice Cooper fan, and we saw a photo of you and Alice a few years later, but did this encounter live up to what your expectation was?
My expectations towards what?
I
As
guess
being an Alice
meeting.
Cooper fan?
I mean, I
Yeah,
guess they
meeting
say,
It
someone.
was his birthday yesterday. Just
oh,
I gotta say, just my first not my first encounter with rock and roll, I gotta say, it was the Monkees. You guys know who the Monkees are? They had a TV show. I like that. And just like living in Detroit, just Alice Cooper was like, still my favorite singer slash Iggy Pop. We gotta go there. But just I've always been a great Alice Cooper fan, and just yeah, I put up some pictures a couple days ago, and or the other day, just I've met him a couple times, but I actually got some photos. I just to me, just growing up, and kind of my first album was Schools Out by Alice Cooper that came out in 72. I kind of learned how to sing off that album, and get that raunch in my vocals, being a 12-year-old kid. You're trying to go from there. To me, he's always been my favorite singer. Yeah, just I got to go with the first 7 Alice Cooper albums, and then it's kind of like that, but it's questionable later on. I don't think people realize how great the first couple albums were, and just if you were a kid in the 70s, I think you were issued like Schools Out, when you were 12.
but
That's a
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
I'm just saying there was a point, in the 70s where, it was definitely it was the biggest thing in the 70s. And I gotta say, this predated punk rock, and just a threat to America. And they were laughing all day, Johnny Rotten, always said, his main influence. I mean, for whatever that is. But I really gotta say that, the beginning, and those songs are just really great, and just Freaked Out, and I gotta say, predated everything. David Bowie, the Ziggy Stardust, the Dolls, whatever you got to go back to. It's like, it all goes back to the MC5, the Stooges, and Alice Cooper, which are all like, Detroit bands, which, don't get the credit they should. Even
Yeah.
though, even though I just heard that the MC5 and the New York Dolls, they're up for the nomination. But you know what? They're going up. There's a lot of tough competition there, man. They're going up against the Eurythmics, and what we got?
Dolly
Lionel
Parton.
Richie. How the hell are not the New York Dolls and the MC5? Like up in there. I mean, that's all like like big wig, you know, people that they're not fans of music, and it's not the the fans' choice. But
I
I'm on
thought
a tangent. I'm sorry, kids.
no.
I just walked out of the kitchen. I'm angry, man.
No.
No, because they
But I
didn't want me to leave today.
but I was checking out like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing for this year, and it was like I was scrolling through it, and I found it so weird that like Eminem was on the same list as like the New York Dolls.
uh they're really trying to get that rap thing in there. I don't know what I gotta say about that. The I can't remember who's all on the list. I think Pat Benatar's up on that.
Yeah, I think she's like number
You know,
one.
I get that, but it's like, I was surprised they even put Roxy Music, that they got into it. But you got to go down the line. Is like, where's oh, let me think here. Where's Deep Purple? Where's Thin Lizzy? Where's T Rex? That's just me coming from the 70s, but that whole thing's like stupid.
Yeah. But like some things like on that list like made sense. Like looking at it like Dolly Parton and Lionel
Well, I love
Richie too.
her, so
Yeah.
I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna question her. But
Yeah. Like that makes
yeah.
sense. Like Lionel Richie to a certain extent. But then getting into like seeing Eminem just didn't make sense to me.
It didn't really fit.
That's- Yeah, it's
Like
well,
Devo made sense to a certain extent.
Devo. That was one of
Yeah.
the. Let me just say, in 1978, they played across the street from my high school. They did 2 shows on Halloween night. I got to hang out with all those dudes. That changed my life. Just seeing Devo. And if anybody doesn't like the first Devo album, oh my God, that is so great. I got to see them a bunch of times when I was a kid in the 70s. And I was just like, that stuff was so good. Such a big influence. Well, I don't know about to the music, but just like, the attitude, just the whole Devo thing was just, I love that stuff. I love that stuff.
Yeah, they were one of, if not like the most just original bands ever. Just thinking like we're gonna put energy domes on our head and stuff like that, you
Well,
know?
this is before that. This is before
Oh,
that. I mean, God, I saw them like they played across the street from my high school. And this place called it was a Grosse Point, Michigan. It was the Punch and Judy Theater. And God, I remember they did like 2 shows that night. Oh my God. I was, and then they played, other Detroit places, and I went to go see them. Oh my God. They were the best. They were just that was just like, when I was actually a teenager, that was mind blowing seeing those shows. I don't know.
and now they only do like a handful of shows every once in a while. Yeah. I've been hoping to see them for a little bit, but the closest they've played in a while is New York, and we're in Baltimore. So it's
They kind of do things now and then, but I don't know how that's rolling. Yeah.
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 But then again, they're old at this.
We're all old, man. But I think that they might have a step on me, but it's like it's hard to do that thing. But but definitely one of the greatest bands ever.
Yeah, and you were talking about like Detroit. So like living in Detroit, what were some of the like most influential records you came across and why?
Living in Detroit,
Yeah.
I
Or
gotta say, I think it was kind of like I think it was like a local thing that maybe you didn't catch on, but it was always going on, just kind of growing up, the MC5, the Stooges, and Alice Cooper. And, we had this magazine from Detroit called Cream Magazine that kind of covered all this stuff, and they gave all the coverage to all this stuff. So that was kind of like our Bible. I know, I know it went, being 10 years old and opening it up and looking at the picture, I was too young to go to, rock shows at that point, but all the, who's this Lou Reed guy? Mott the Hoople, just, New York Dolls. This looks cool, man. I really like, I kind of grew up with all the, the Detroit stuff, and they were all like, local bands, when I was a kid. And I still listen to all those bands today.
Yeah.
The records still sound good. You know.
So from playing in a band like Static to a band like Negative Approach, what was that transition like?
The transition was starting a high school band into Alice Cooper and the New York Dolls and everything I just mentioned. Um just my high school buddies. And then it got to a point, towards the end of the Static, I got to witness some early shows with the Necros and DOA. And at that point, it kind of clicked that everything that I'm doing is wrong. It kind of brought it to the next level. These are like people that are like my age and like doing this completely way cooler thing. Early Black Flag gigs. I was still in Static, and Black Flag would come to town. This is when Dez was still the singer. So it was earlier Black Flag, and God, I don't know if it was before or after, but it was probably, yeah. I'm trying to think like the first Minor Threat show when they rolled through, and that was in Canada. But it was like towards the end. I was dealing with. I always had to, with Static. I always had to deal with, the musicians. They're like, John, man, I don't know about this punk stuff. We were all on the rock and roll tip, but it was like I was like, no, man. We got to be faster. And, we got to be punk and all this. And yeah, I think I was kind of still in Static. It was kind of like the Necros, which were from Ohio. That were like a big influence. It just, that was towards the end of Static. And then it was kind of like, then kind of, putting the pieces together and be like, oh, everything I'm doing is wrong. The 70s are over, man. And then kind of like thinking like, I was more towards that. And the other guys were like, they were stuck in their whatever. And then I knew I had to move on and
Yeah.
start something new at this point. Is kind of like, okay, well, we did it. And this is, let's venture off into this. Yeah.
Really quick, we have a request question that we posted something earlier on Instagram that said, like, if you have any questions that you want to ask John Brannon, what do you want to ask? And
Okay.
somebody said, what was your favorite Laughing Hyenas album written and recorded, and why?
Well, my favorite Laughing Hyenas. Might have to take a sip on that one. Hold on. I got it. I've always gone back to I gotta say, You Can't Pray a Lie. And that's probably like right when we kind of came into our own. Like the first thing we did was like, we had our definite influences, but it's kind of weird. It was like the first album that I didn't write any music on that. All the other Hyenas albums, I've written music, but it was kind of a point where Kevin and Larissa really did all the music on that. And I gotta say, it's right when we got Jim Kimball, to like actually start writing songs. And Larissa's like, just concentrate on your lyrics, man. It was just like, you need to get out your. It was a funny thing about Larissa. She was always like, she's so always like, the artist, and she's like, you need to get out your journal. And that's when I, was consciously, trying to write stuff. And even that, it, I think it's when the band first started coming together where we weren't showing our, things on our, sleeve or whatever. And the band kind of just started coming into their own. So I got to say, You Can't Pray a Lie. And then, there's some good tracks on that. Love's My Only Crime. And one of my favorite, Lullaby and Good Night, which, what are the songs are on that album? I never listen to these, but that was just kind of right at the point where we were coming into our own, where I like that album. I like all of them. I mean, there's certain songs, I can go back and forth, but that's probably my favorite. You Can't Pray a Lie.
Well, John, thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Any more?
I'm out of questions. I don't know if Sam has any more.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much everything we had to ask you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I don't have the tech people here. I don't know how to turn this shit off. But thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
How do I access this? Is there a link in the bio? Because I'm still stuck in the 70s, man.
This is I don't think coming out for a little bit, but it should be out within the next few weeks. And when it is, we'll send it to you.
I follow you guys on Instagram, so
yeah. We'll
no
tag you in it.
I feel like we just got started.
Most of our interviews are only like 30, 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll send you a link. We'll tag you and everything. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Sam and Dom.